Hi, I'm Darren Heinrich, and in this video we're going to take a look at bass lines and how to put them together on the Hammond B3 organ. Of course, if you're coming from piano, you're going to probably find it to be a big challenge to play walking bass lines. It's not something that we tend to do on the piano, even in a solo piano situation. And in most jazz performance, we tend to have a double bass player taking care of that. So hopefully what I've got to show you will shortcut the learning process for you a little bit. Of course, it's a ton of fun to play bass lines. I love it. It's a really powerful feeling to create that groove, link up with the drummer, create all the dynamics and outline the form. Of course, it's a big responsibility and it does take quite a bit of practice. But what I want to share with you today is my processes around how bass lines are put together, and you can add this to your own practice and hopefully be making music a lot sooner. So let's get into it. In the next few examples, I'm just going to use a very simple chord progression that we all have to know, we all have to have under our fingers, and it's a 1, 6, 2, 5 progression in the key of C. It's the sort of chord progression that you might hear on a standard tune like Swonderful. And this one I'm playing in such a way as I'm just going to start with a 2 feel, which means 2 notes per bar, and I'm targeting the tonic on the first beat of the bar and the 5th of the chord on the 3rd beat of the bar. And I'm going to use the metronome to show you how to practice, because we all have to develop a good time feel, and one of the best ways to do that is to use the metronome and hear the metronome as beats 2 and 4, and if we can make that metronome swing, if we can make it dance, so to speak, then what we're going to play with any drummer on the planet, well, almost any drummer, will work. You'll be able to play with a whole bunch of people and create a good groove together. So in the very first example, I'm going to play a very simple 2 feel, and I'm going to use the metronome to cut off the notes in my left hand. So it's very much going to be an open sounding groove. One thing that you'll come to hear in the next few examples when I vary the note length is the length of the note really defines how the music feels. So in example 2, I'm going to play much the same material. It's still a 2 feel, but I'm going to play long notes. And hopefully at the end of this, when you compare it to the first example, you'll be able to tell just how much the length of that note really affects how the music feels. So here we go, 2 feel, but with long notes. Okay, so the next step in developing a bass line is to add a note and put it on beat 4 of the bar. This is what I call a decorated 2 feel, and it gives the bass line and the music a little bit more propulsion. And we're starting to fill in the gaps now. If you think about our 2 feel, like the name says, we've got 2 notes per bar, and we can play those either short or long. But they're on beats 1 and 3. So by adding a note onto beat 4, we're starting to move towards playing in 4. We're just filling in the gaps one step at a time. But this decorated 2 feel is really important just to spice up your 2 feel, make the music a little bit more groovy. And it adds the next layer of demands on the organ player. So let's check it out. So the next thing to add to your bass line as we move from playing a 2 feel to a 4 feel is to stay with that 2 feel just a little longer, keep that decoration on beat 4, but start adding some grace notes to your bass line. So these grace notes can be conceived of as maybe being 1/8 notes or even a smaller subdivision. It really doesn't matter. But I'm sure you'll recognize it when you hear it. They're the sort of things that double bass players do all the time to enhance the groove, further define what the feel of the tune is meant to be. And as the organ player, you get to decide how many of these that you're going to play. Like any technique, it's the sort of thing that you can overdo, but that's the beauty of this music. We get to decide exactly what it is and how we want to play it, and that defines our sound. So here we go. We're going to add some grace notes to our bass line. So to wrap up playing bass lines on the organ, it's time that I demonstrated a 4-feel for you, the classic walking bass line. All of the work that we've done so far is to really get us to this point, and don't forget that our decorated 2-feel with the note on beat 4 of the bar is 3/4 of the story, right? So now we're going to add a note onto beat 2. And I think this way of thinking about bass lines, from a 2-feel to a decorated 2-feel with or without grace notes, and then moving on to a 4-feel, if you try to move your concept to that, I think you'll find it a lot easier to learn how to play bass lines on the organ. And I'm just going to try to keep my note choices in the left hand very, very generic, sticking to chord tones as much as I can. So that's it for today. I hope you found this workshop useful. If you need help, or if you want some resources regarding this lesson, don't hesitate to get in touch. Thanks.